I was born beneath the California sun, in the quiet mist of Monterey Bay, a place where the ocean breathes secrets into the floor. My family was Mexican-American, the kind that carried two homelands in their hearts every few months. We'd pack up our lives into the back of a dusty car and cross the border, chasing the laughter of relatives, the smell of tamales, and the voice of my grandmother calling from her porch near Guadalajara. Her home stood in a small pueblo, humble, sun-bleached walls and a roof that shimmered under the heat. It wasn't grand, but it was alive, filled with voices, prayers, and the sound of children running barefoot through the courtyard. That summer, we were visiting again. I must have been 6 or 7. Still small enough to believe that bedtime stories were true, but old enough to sense when something in the air changed after dark. We stayed at my aunt's house that year, a tall, 3-story home with a flat roof that looked out over endless fields. During the day, it was beautiful. The light bounced off the white stucco. The wind carried the smell of wild grass, and I loved every inch of it. But at night, Mexico changes. When the sun slips behind the mountains, the world exhales differently. The crickets fall quiet, the streets empty, and suddenly, even the whisper of the wind feels like someone calling your name. That night, all my cousins and I were sleeping together in the big master bedroom on the 2nd floor. We piled onto beds, blankets, and floor mats like a little army of giggling children. Being one of the older cousins, I got the honor of sleeping on the actual bed, and even better, that bed had a TV in front of it. My parents never allowed much television back home. So when I spotted the Disney Channel logo, I felt like I discovered treasure. Of course, my mother knew me too well. Before we went to sleep, she slyly took the remote and hid it beneath her pillow in the next room, as if guarding the crown jewels. But I was a determined little rebel. When the house finally fell silent, the kind of silence where you can hear the hum of electricity and the faint bark of a dog far away, I crept out of bed. Every step across the tile floor echoed louder than thunder in my ears. I slipped into my mom's room, reached under her pillow, and felt the cold shape of the remote. Victory. I tiptoed back, climbed onto the bed, and turned on the TV. The light flickered softly across the sleeping faces of my cousins, painting shadows on the walls. I kept the volume low, a secret world just for me. For a while, I forgot where I was. The cartoon voices felt safe, familiar. I laughed quietly to myself, thinking how clever I'd been. When the movie ended, I did the responsible thing, sneaked back, returned the remote, and went to bed. As I closed the door behind me, I remember locking it. I was sure of it. The click of the latch sounded sharp
Back in bed
and
again.
clear.
It's just the fan.
Then I lay down, fanning myself in the
The
warm
hum is
air.
louder now.
The hum of the ceiling fan, the only sound left in the room. But moments later, the door creaked open. At first, I didn't hear it. I saw it, the faint darkness of the hallway bleeding into the room. My heart jumped. Had I imagined locking it, I got up, shut it tight again, turned the lock twice just to be sure. The hallway beyond was pitch black, the kind of dark that feels thick, like it's watching you back. I climbed into bed again, trying to convince myself it was nothing. Just the fan. I whispered. Just the wind.
That smells good.
The door opened again, slowly, deliberately. Something inside me froze. I couldn't call for my mom. The air felt glued to my throat. I stared at the shifting darkness, trying to find a shape, a shadow, something. Nothing moved, but the air felt alive. Panicked, I darted from the bed, slammed the door shut, locked it a third time hard, then dove under the blanket next to my sister,
I know.
shoving her gently toward the side nearest the door. "You sleep there," I whispered to no one but myself. I pulled the covers over my head and waited, listening to my heartbeat thundering in my ears, until sleep finally took me. The next morning, sunlight poured through the curtains like none of it had ever happened. I told my aunt about the door. She only smiled while stirring a pot of beans on the stove. "Oh, mija." She laughed softly. "That house likes to play. Don't worry, it's just one of its moods." She told me then that dishes sometimes clattered on their own downstairs, or footsteps crossed the hallway when everyone was asleep. That was the first time I realized some houses breathe differently at night. And in Mexico, when the dark comes, you never quite know what else wakes up with it. A few days later, we were all sitting outside my grandmother's house, the one in the next town over. Just a 10-minute drive through the dusty Jalisco roads.
What happened at my house?
It was one of those warm Mexican evenings, and the whole street seemed alive. Neighbors chatting across fences, radios humming old rancheras, kids chasing each other barefoot down the road. My grandmother's home sat among a row of connected houses, their walls sharing secrets through the plaster.
Your mother has seen many
In front of her door,
things.
my grandfather's hand-woven leather chairs were lined in a circle. The smell of burning wood drifted from the small bonfire at our feet, and the light flickered across everyone's faces. My uncles, my aunts, my cousins. We were laughing about something silly when my aunt suddenly mentioned me. "She scared your daughter at my place," she said, half teasing, half serious. Everyone chuckled, the kind of laughter that hides a little unease. "Oh, she's fine," my mother said, smiling. "But that house of yours, it has its moods." That was when my aunt leaned forward and said, "You've experienced plenty yourself, haven't you?" The laughter quieted. The crackling fire filled the silence.
I am sorry to bother you.
It was the first time I ever heard my mother talk about what she'd gone through
We did
when
not
she was
move
young.
it.
What?
Stories she never meant for her children to hear. She told us she'd grown up in that same house, sleeping in one of the front rooms that faced the street. The walls were thick cement, the floor cool tile that echoed every sound. At first, she said, I thought it was just noisy neighbors. But it wasn't. Almost every night, right around the same hour, she'd wake up to the sound of heavy furniture scraping across the floor next door, slow, dragging, deliberate, a chair, a table. Sometimes something heavier, like a crib.
Mom,
The noise would go on for minutes,
be here.
then stop, then start again one night. Fed up and sleepless, she stormed over and knocked on the neighbor's door. "Why do you move your furniture in the middle of the night?" she asked, frustrated. The neighbor blinked at her in confusion. "Señorita, what are you talking about? We're asleep by then." The words froze her mid-breath. She felt her face grow hot. She mumbled an apology and hurried back home, pretending she'd imagined it, but deep down she knew she hadn't. Because it kept happening. Every night, always at the same hour, always
Where am
that same
I
dragging, grinding sound. Eventually, she begged my grandmother to let her move rooms. My grandmother agreed, helping her shift to the other side of the courtyard, a quieter spot with open air, trees, and the
There
smell
should
of
be
wet
no
earth.
horses here.
By then, my mother was already a teenage mom, My brother had just been born a small baby in a wooden crib by her bedside. She thought the new room would bring peace. She was wrong. One night, she awoke again, but this time, it wasn't furniture she heard. It was hoofbeats, not one or two, a whole parade of them. Galloping through the courtyard, hooves striking the ground like thunder, horses, or maybe donkeys, she couldn't tell. The rhythm was so real, she felt it vibrate through the walls, half asleep. She sat up, ready to peek through the window facing the street, and then she remembered. This room doesn't face the street. It faces the courtyard, where there are no animals, where there should be nothing at all. Her blood ran cold. She held her baby close and shut her eyes, whispering prayers under her breath. But the sound kept circling the house, faster, louder, like something was running in endless loops around her window. That night changed something in her. She stopped complaining about noises, stopped asking to switch rooms again. Instead, she started sleeping with the radio on static. Music, anything to fill the silence. She said it helped her pretend she couldn't hear the hoofbeats anymore, but the noises never really stopped. They just followed her. Even when she left that house. When my mother finally left her hometown, she thought the strange nights would be over. She moved to Guadalajara, the big city, full of light and noise, and people awake at all hours.
Hi.
She found a small Victorian-style house to rent, old but charming, with tall ceilings and a roof so flat you could hang your laundry up there. Her younger brother, my uncle, moved in with her for company. My mom shared one bedroom with my older brother. Still just a baby then, while my uncle took the room across the hall. The house felt safer somehow, less lonely, less haunted by the whispers of her childhood home. For a while, everything seemed normal, until the nights got quiet again. She said it began softly, just a faint scratching above her ceiling, like tiny footsteps. At first, she brushed it off, maybe a cat or a rat. But the sound grew heavier. Then one night, when the world outside was completely still, she heard it clearly, the patter of 4 paws running fast across the rooftop. It wasn't random. It circled the house once, twice, then stopped right above her bed. And then came the sound she would never forget, a dog's breathing. That wet, heavy panting after a long run. Right above her head, she froze. The rhythm was too real, too close. And in that instant, she remembered the hoofbeats from her grandmother's courtyard. That same feeling crept up her spine, the certainty that something was there. Unseen, watching. Her heart raced. The baby stirred beside her. But when she looked at the window, there was only the dark outline of the laundry lines, motionless in the night wind. No dog, no movement, nothing. The next morning, she told my uncle. He laughed at first, but when she described the panting, the way it stopped exactly above her bed, he frowned.
I'm telling you, I heard
If
everything.
you hear it again,
He's planning something
he
big.
said, wake me.
Are you sure about
I'll go up
this?
there myself. A few nights passed before it returned.
I'll try to check
The
the
same
roof
sound,
next time.
claws scraping, paws running in circles. That hot, heavy breath above her ceiling. She jumped out of bed and ran to her uncle's room. It's here, she whispered,
It's back!
trembling. It's on the roof again. He didn't hesitate. He grabbed the spear he kept by his bed, a leftover from some hunting trip, and rushed up the narrow stairs to the rooftop. The door burst open with a bang. But there was nothing. The flat roof stretched empty under the moonlight. No prints, no holes, No way for any animal to have climbed up. The air was still, the night completely silent. My uncle checked the walls, the fences, the neighbors' rooftops, nothing. He came back down pale, his voice low. There's no dog up there. There's no way there could be. My mother didn't argue. She already knew. It wasn't a dog. It never had been. After that, she started sleeping with a Bible under her pillow.
He scans the perimeter.
She
with
prayed
his
before bed,
flashlight. No
whispering
paw
verses
prints,
until she drifted
no
off.
Scratches, just
She told
silence.
herself it was just stress. Imagination, echoes of old fears.
There's nothing here.
Deep down, she felt something following her, not a creature of flesh and bone, but something older,
That wind.
heavier, patient. That was the year she turned to faith. Church became her armor, her candle against the dark. And for a while, the nights went quiet again. Years later, my mother
Our
left Mexico
Father,
behind.
who art in heaven,
She
hallowed
crossed the
be thy
border with
name.
hope,
Thy
faith,
kingdom come, thy
and a
will
heart
be
still
done.
shadowed by memories she couldn't explain. In California, she met my father at a dance hall in Watsonville, the kind where the music is loud, the lights dim, and strangers become family after a single song. They married, and before long, we moved to a property so beautiful it looked like a dream. 78 acres of towering redwoods, nestled deep in the Los Padres Mountains. The land belonged to a wealthy tech entrepreneur from Silicon Valley, but we lived there as caretakers. Our home was a long, narrow, manufactured house that sat in a small clearing surrounded by trees older than memory itself. By day, it was paradise. Sunlight filtered through the redwood canopy in golden beams. The air smelled like pine and earth. The forest pulsed with life birds, squirrels, the distant rush of a creek. But when night came, it changed. The air thickened. The forest held its breath.
Wow, look
The silence was so deep, it felt alive.
It's
We,
beautiful.
the kids, didn't notice much then. We ran barefoot through the woods, chasing fireflies and pretending to be explorers. And when the sky turned purple and the wind picked up,
I think it's
that's
in
when
here
Mom would
somewhere.
call out from the porch, "Ahí viene el cucuy."
Here it
The
is.
cucuy is coming. He'll get you if you don't come inside. El cucuy. We didn't know who or what that was. She also warned us about Memo, a shadowy old man she claimed haunted bad children. And La Mano Peluda, the hairy hand that dragged you away if you stayed out too late. We didn't question it. The moment she said those names, our laughter would vanish, replaced by panic. We'd sprint through the darkening woods, heart pounding, branches snapping underfoot, until we burst back into the warm glow of the house. And she'd smile relieved. To her,
Ahí viene el cucuy.
those stories were just ways to keep us safe. But maybe, just maybe, she was warning us about something real. Because one night, the stories came for her that evening. The forest was utterly still. The kind of silence that presses against the windows, listening. We were all asleep, my sister and I, sharing a bed in one room, my parents in theirs, and my twin baby brothers lying between them.
That was quite a
The house
run,
stretched
huh?
long and narrow,
Yes, I love
with a
running.
single hallway connecting everything from the kitchen to their bedroom at the far end. Mom said she felt it before she heard it, that shift in the air. A heaviness, like the house itself was holding its breath. She glanced toward the open doorway, where the faint orange glow from the detached garage light spilled into the hall. Beyond that, nothing. Only darkness. At first, she thought it was her imagination. Then came the sensation that something was moving. Not footsteps, not sound. Just a presence. closing in from the far end of the hallway. Fast, heavy, hungry, before she could react. She felt the weight slam onto the bed, onto her body. A crushing, suffocating force that pinned her chest, pressing the air from her lungs. She tried to scream, but only a strangled gasp came out. Her eyes darted toward my baby brothers beside her, still asleep, unaware. She realized she wasn't dreaming. She was awake, fully awake. The thing didn't move. It just pressed a darkness without shape, without form. She could feel it breathing. It wasn't human, somewhere between terror and instinct. She began to pray. She forced the words out. Trembling, I know who you are. You're not welcome here. Leave, in the name of God. Leave this house. Her voice cracked. But she repeated it over and over until her throat burned. And then, suddenly, it lifted. The weight vanished. She gasped for air, drenched in sweat, staring at the open window beside her. For a second, she swore she saw something, a shadow leaping into the night.
Here.
And then it was gone. When morning came, she told no one. She only sat in silence, her eyes distant, holding her two baby boys as if to anchor herself in the world of the living.
Our Father,
That night
who art in
changed her
heaven,
again.
Hallowed be thee name.
She went deeper
Thy
into faith
kingdom
prayer,
come,
church,
thy will be
candles
done on
burning
earth
in the window.
as it is in heaven.
And from that day on, she never used those names again. No more Kukui, no more Memo, no more Mano Peluda. She believed that by invoking them to frighten us, she had invited them in. For a while, life seemed normal again. We moved from the Redwood forest to Salinas, a quiet California town surrounded by new housing developments and endless fields of lettuce and strawberries. The air smelled clean. The neighborhood was new. And for the first time in years, my mother said she finally felt peace. Our new home was bright and modern,
May your light
full of sunlight.
guide their path.
There were no shadows lurking in
them
corners, no
always.
creaking floors, no reason to be afraid. We prayed before meals, went to church every Sunday, and for a time, nothing strange happened until one evening it did. It started with something simple. A few houses down, some neighbors were moving out. They left piles of
Thank
things
you
by
for
the
this
curb, old
quiet
toys,
night,
boxes, and board
for the
games.
peace that settles
We were
upon
kids,
this home.
bored and curious. So when we spotted Monopoly and Sorry, we ran out to grab them like treasure. Among the pile was one box that looked older, the cardboard yellowed. The letters faded. It read, Ouija. I remember holding it up. What's this? I asked aloud. Ooh. Out Egypt, my brother laughed. That's not how you say it. It's Ouija. He said the word I'd heard whispered in stories, but never seen in real life. Mom's face changed the moment she saw it. Her eyes went wide. Throw that away, she said firmly. Now. We didn't argue. We tossed it straight into the trash. None of us touched it again, but maybe it was already too late. That night, the house felt different. We locked the doors early. Salinas wasn't exactly the safest town, and settled in the living room to watch a nature documentary on our old box TV. The kind with knobs, thick glass, and buttons that had long since jammed in. The lights were dim, the air calm. Then, without warning, bang, the front door flew open. It slammed against a small desk near the entryway so hard, the whole wall rattled. We all froze. At first, we thought it was my older brother coming home. But no footsteps followed. No voice. No one entered. Just the cool breath of night slipping through the doorway. After a moment, my mom stood up, walked over, and closed it quietly. She checked the lock twice. No explanation. We tried to laugh it off, wind. Maybe. But that night, when the house went silent again, something else started happening. A few days later, we were
We've gotta
upstairs
take
in my
this stuff
parents'
out.
bedroom,
It's
our
heavy.
nightly ritual. We'd all pile onto their bed, talking, reading Bible verses, praying before sleep. It was our safe space, our armor against the dark. Then it happened. From downstairs came a sudden burst of static, loud, sharp, violent. That raw, hissing sound of an untuned TV filled the entire house. We all jumped. The TV turned on. My little sister said from the hallway railing, peeking down at the living room below. The light from the screen flickered across the walls, painting the ceiling in cold, ghostly flashes. Mom looked at me, the oldest. "Go turn it off,"
That night,
she said.
street
I hesitated.
lights flicker outside the window.
"Can she come with me?"
Silence
I asked,
filling the
nodding
house.
toward my youngest sister. She agreed. We crept down the stairs together. The house felt alive, like something was waiting. The TV blared static at full volume. The remote lay untouched. The buttons were broken. We had to use a pencil to poke through the holes and find the hidden switch inside. Every hiss of static felt like a whisper trying to form words. Finally, after a few seconds that felt like hours, I found the right spot click. The TV went dark. The silence after was deafening. We sprinted back upstairs and shut the door. No one spoke for a long time. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. The next night, it happened again. Then again. Always the same time. Always when we were reading the Bible together. It became a grim routine. We'd gather to pray. Pause, wait, and the TV would roar to life downstairs, screaming static into the night. We started joking about it to calm our nerves. Maybe the devil doesn't like Bible study, my uncle said once, half laughing. But no one really laughed, because soon the house began to escalate. One afternoon, while we were watching TV together, a loud crash came from upstairs. We rushed up and found the Bibles, all of them thrown off the shelves, scattered across the floor. No open windows, no wind, just silence. Mom made me pick them up, one by one.
For where two or
Her hands
three are
trembled as she
gathered in
stacked
my
them back.
name,
From then
there
on,
am I among them.
none of us felt safe. At night,
Our
my
Father
youngest
who
sister
art in
started
heaven,
having nightmares, the
hallowed
kind that
be
made her
thy
cry
name.
in her sleep,
Thy kingdom
muttering
come,
things no
thy
child should
will
know.
be done.
Then she began sleepwalking, wandering into the hall, sometimes downstairs, eyes wide open, but seeing nothing. One night, I woke up from a nightmare of my own. There she was, standing by my bed, still, silent, just watching me. In my panic, I swung my arm, hit her before I realized who it was. She didn't scream, didn't even flinch,
The
just
TV
turned
turned on.
and walked into the bathroom, closing the door behind her. She stayed there, crying. When Mom came to get her, she was shaking, eyes blank, voice gone. After that, no one slept well again.
We
The
need
house
to
was
find
no
the power
longer
button.
home. It had eyes,
I think I see
had
something.
breath, and something in its walls wanted us to remember what we'd tried to forget. The house never slept anymore, even when the lights were off and every door was locked. It felt like something was always awake, pacing, watching, waiting. By then, the TV had become our uninvited guest. It would burst to life in the middle of prayer, scream static until someone shut it off, and then fall silent like nothing had happened. It became part of our nights,
Click.
like a ritual of its own. Pray, wait, static, silence. But the house wasn't done with us. It wanted more. One night, The sound came from upstairs instead. A single, heavy thud, followed by hurried footsteps.
Our
Then
Father
silence.
who art
I
in
remember
heaven,
lying in bed,
hallowed be thy name.
staring at the ceiling,
Thy kingdom come.
too afraid to move.
Thy will be done.
The next morning, Mom called us all into her room, a family talk. She said, my brother sat there on the edge of the bed, pale as chalk, eyes red from crying. He was the one who had made the sound. He said it started with a nightmare. He dreamt of a dark figure, faceless,
Maybe the devil hates Bible
whispering in
verses.
a language he didn't understand. In the dream, it called his name, over and over, until he opened his eyes, and when he did, the voice didn't stop. He was awake. But the whispering continued, right beside his ear. He said he could feel someone standing next to his bed just beyond the ladder of the bunk. He was too scared to look, too frozen to move. His face burned with heat. The air felt thick, like the room had shrunk around him. The whisper went on, low and guttural, as if coming from deep underground. Then it stopped. The silence was so sudden, it hurt. And when he finally could move again, he didn't climb down the ladder, he jumped. He crashed to the floor, scrambled to his feet, and ran down the hall into my parents' room,
Please, God, let us
crying.
be safe.
Mom woke up to him shaking beside her, breathless, incoherent. She soothed him, telling him it was just a bad dream. But later, she admitted she was wrong. Around 4 or 5 in the morning, as dawn crept through the curtains, my mom stirred in bed. My brother was asleep beside her. And that's when she heard it. A voice right next to her ear, low, deep, not human. 2 words, heavy and ancient, whispered so close that she could feel the breath against her skin. She froze, turned her head slowly.
It is so quiet
No
this
one there.
morning.
The room was
Yes,
still.
it is. Yes, it is.
Her heart pounded so hard she thought it would wake the twins beside her. That was the moment she believed my brother. Whatever had whispered to him, had whispered to her too. The next day, she didn't waste time. She called for help pastors, church elders,
Oh my gosh.
anyone who knew how to pray away darkness. They came that weekend, a small group holding Bibles and candles. The air in the house felt heavy, like a storm trapped inside the walls. They blessed every room, sprinkling holy water along the doorframes, reading verses aloud. In the living room, the candles flickered wildly, even though the air was still. In the hallway, one flame went out on its own. And in my brother's room, the coldest corner of the house, one of the men said quietly, "Something lingers here." They prayed over my brother, laying hands on him, speaking in low voices. He shook, eyes squeezed shut, breathing hard. Then, suddenly, he let out a sob, long, raw, like something leaving his body. After that, the house felt lighter, brighter. For a while, everything went quiet again. But quiet isn't the same as peace. Because from that day on, my brother changed. He slept with the lights on. He'd flinch at whispers,
You can't
even if they were
imagine
just from us.
something that breathes.
Sometimes, he'd wake up screaming, saying someone was calling him again. And Mom, she stopped talking about what happened. She said speaking of it gave it power, that darkness feeds on fear, on memory, on attention. So, we learned to pretend. We prayed. We laughed. We told jokes about ghosts at the dinner table. But every so often, when the night grew too still, one of us would glance toward the dark end of the hallway, half expecting the TV to flicker on again. It never did. But we could all feel it, that something had been there once. And maybe still was. Years later, When we moved to Oregon, the strange things finally stopped. The new house was quiet. No whispers, no static, no voices. Yet sometimes, when family gets together and the old stories resurface,
maybe it never
Mom just
stopped.
smiles tightly and says,
Maybe it just got tired
"Don't
of
talk
being
about it."
seen.
Some things listen when you do. And every time she says that, the room seems to get a little colder. We never talked about it again. Not really. Every now and then, when we sat together as a family, birthdays, holidays, quiet dinners, someone would mention those nights. Then, silence. Just a knowing look that passed between us. Like an unspoken prayer, don't call it back. Because by then, we all understood something. Some stories aren't meant to be told too often. Some doors, once closed, should never be opened again. Oregon was peaceful. The rain fell soft against the windows.
Isn't about never
The
being
forest outside
afraid.
hummed gently, and the air felt clean. No TV turning on, no whispers, no shadows moving just out of sight. We grew up. We tried to believe that what happened in Salinas was behind us, just tricks of the mind. Stress, trauma, maybe imagination. But deep down, none of us really believed that. Because you can't imagine something that breathes. You can't invent a voice that whispers your name. My brother, the one who had been touched by it most, carried something invisible inside him after that. He was quiet, kind. But sometimes, I'd catch him staring into the distance, his eyes glassy like he was listening for something only he could hear. Once, I asked if he still dreamed about the voice. He smiled faintly. Not dreams. He said, just echoes. And I understood. As we got older, faith became our armor. Church on Sundays, crosses above every door. Mom prayed every night, not out of fear anymore, but gratitude. Gratitude that whatever haunted her in Mexico, whatever followed us through the woods of California, finally stopped. Or maybe it didn't stop. Maybe it just got tired of being seen. Sometimes I think about those places, the old house near Guadalajara with its hollow courtyard, the roof where something unseen ran in circles, the long hallway in the Redwoods, the door that opened on its own in Salinas. They still exist, standing quietly under new skies, holding the memory of the people who once lived there. Maybe someone else sleeps in those same rooms now. Maybe they, too, will feel the door creak open one night and think it's just the wind. There's one thing I know for sure: evil doesn't always wear a face. Sometimes it's just a sound, a whisper, a breath, a feeling that crawls up your spine. It doesn't need to be seen to be real. And faith, real faith, isn't about never being afraid. It's about standing in the dark, hearing something move toward you, and choosing to believe you're not alone. If you ever feel that kind of presence, that shift in the air, that cold breath in the quiet, don't listen. Don't speak. Just pray. Because some things don't need names to find you. They only need to be remembered. Fade to black. The faint hum of static lingers in the air, then silence.